Welcome to Inside Sim Racing episode 30. I'm your host Jessica Lopez. It's Friday, October the 24th, and this is our second scheduled broadcast of the show. Thanks to everyone who joined us last week live in the chat room at our website www.insidesimracing.tv, and thanks to everyone who's joining us live tonight. Last week we gave away 3 copies of Arca Sim Racing and 1 copy of GTR Evolution. Congratulations to the winners of those games. And this week we have a similar competition. We'll be giving away STCC the game, Arca Sim Racing, and GTR Evolution. Stay tuned for the end of the show to find out how you can win. This week's top story comes from the world of iRacing, who sponsors the iRacing Cup competition, which is held by the Sports Car Club of America, known as SCCA. It's a nationwide year-long competition. It's a contingency program that spans over 9 different regions, allowing 5,000 licensed drivers to compete for a single title. Brian Schofield from Lakeland, Florida, took second place in the finals in his Ford Spec Racer, which was held in Topeka at the Heartland Park track. Schofield copped a professional level racing simulator. He also won $3,000 in cash and a year's subscription to iRacing simulation service. And not to forget, the engraved iRacing Cup, which is a beauty. Schofield had absolutely no idea what iRacing is or was at the time until his points keeper for the region advised him that he was leading the iRacing Cup series, and he checked out iRacing.com, and we're happy to say that now with his year's subscription and his simulation setup, we hope that he becomes an avid sim racer and joins our community. On October 18th, the Star Mazda Championships announced their partnership with iRacing. iRacing will now be the official simulation service for all of their championships. iRacing will provide resources which will allow prospective new drivers to test and existing drivers to practice using a virtual Star Mazda car and digitally duplicated tracks of most of the tracks that will be used in their 09 season. Okay, iRacing has also announced the release of Phoenix International Raceway, which will be launched on October 29th. You must be a member to iRacing in order to get this track, and it costs $20. If you're not a member, head over to iRacing.com to become one. For you Nintendo Wii owners out there, we got the new Logitech wheel. Darren has the wheel here with him.
Here she is, Cheggy. Yeah, Logitech driving force.
Which is used on
wireless.
Which games?
They made it for Need for Speed Undercover, which is coming out in a month or 2. But we're going to try it out with Ferrari Challenge next week. We're going to check it.
Cool, so look forward to that next week for our review on this wheel. We're going to take a quick commercial break. When we return, I'll be back with Shaun, who's going to do a review on the Motorstorm Pacific Rift 2, which is now available for download.
Yeah, it's pretty badass.
Clear outside. You're doing great. Keep it up. White flag. One more lap. Go low. Go low. You're going on the wall.
Back here with Shaun in the studio, who's checked out the demo of Motorstorm Pacific Rift. How'd you like it?
I liked it a ton. I walked in the room, I thought we had Pure on the screen, but turns out there was motorcycle, stadium truck, monster truck. It was pretty fun. They had a demo track. It was good.
So when does the full copy become available?
October 28th, it'll come out, be available for everybody. We're trying to get our hands on a copy so we can play the full version as well.
And once we do, we'll let you know all about it here on the show. Next up, Shaun's going to take us over to his tech tips, right?
Yeah, I got something a little different today. I'm going to bring out a toy and play with it. We get a lot of questions about setups, and the best thing to do about setups is understanding a car, so hopefully I'll be able to explain it. Today we talk about setups. Back in the day, there were fewer sims, fewer mods, fewer tracks, and it was a lot easier to find a setup online. Nowadays, it can be hard to find a new setup for a new mod. I'm not a fan of downloading setups anyway, and that's because everyone's style is unique. A great setup is built around your driving style, your controllers, the type of car, the way you drive, all of those things is how you build a great setup. To do this, you need to understand a little bit about the parts of the car and how they work together. Before one can really build a quality setup, you must first know the track well enough to let the car tell you what it's doing. Once you know the braking zones, the turn-in points, the acceleration points, you can then begin to feel what the car needs. Overdriving or underdriving the car will mask the true behavior of the car from you. The first and most important of setup is the tires. The tire has what is known as a contact patch. This is the amount of rubber that touches the road. If you think about it, this is the total amount of the car that gets to try to keep you on the road. Not a lot. Everything else you do to the car is an attempt to maximize the grip using that contact patch on the road. So let's talk about how a car operates under forces. I have here my radio-controlled truck to demonstrate. Let's go ahead and remove the bodywork here. We don't need that. And let's start off with the car in the resting position. Right now, the only thing that is holding the car in the air is the springs. The entire job of the springs is to hold the car off the ground. Right now, the springs are the only thing that are keeping it from bottoming out. That's it. When we step on the gas, the rear end of the car squats down. At this moment, the weight transfer of the car is to the rear end of the car. It's the rear springs that are now being asked to support that added weight. When we're at full speeds, it's the aerodynamics of the car that is pushing the entire body of the car down. The springs are now being asked to support the weight of the vehicle as well as the added weight of the downforce. And then when we jam on the brakes, the car will transfer its weight to the front end. It's the front springs that are now doing the job of holding the weight of the vehicle as well as that transferred weight and momentum and holding it off of the ground. The same rules apply in transferring weight from side to side. On an oval, for example, all of the weight of the vehicle is being pushed to the right side of the car during left turns. It is the front right and the rear right springs that do the work at that point. The springs may support the weight of the car, but during braking or turning or acceleration moments, they don't work alone. The shocks are there to help the springs during the moment of weight transfer. A shock is a simple device, and this is how it works. As the shock gets squeezed, it uses fluid inside to slow down the piston's movement. This is known as compression. The higher the compression setting, the more the shock will slow down the upward travel of the piston. When the piston is drawn out, this is known as rebound. Again, a higher rebound setting will slow down how fast the shock goes back down. So let's think about how this works with the shocks on the car. When we accelerate, the weight is transferring to the rear. It is the springs that are holding the weight, but now the rear shocks and the compression setting is fighting those forces slowing down. The front shocks and their rebound settings are now slowing down the movement of the front end coming up in the air, allowing that same transfer. Under braking, everything is opposite. The weight of the car is trying to go forward, and the springs are doing their job, and it's the front shocks and their compression settings that are now slowing down how fast the weight is coming forward. The rear shocks are now lifting, and it is the rebound settings that affect the weight transfer. Now here's where it gets a little more complicated. When we turn left or right, those same settings are working against the body roll transfer. When we turn left, the weight goes to the right, and the right side shocks are now compressing, and our compression settings will affect that. The left side shocks are extending, and the rebound settings are affecting the speed that happens. Now, staying with weight transfer, let's add the sway bars. They do as they say, and they affect sway. They also work with the springs and shocks. As the body starts to roll to the right, the sway bar pushes down on the opposite side of the suspension. This is joining the left and right side so that they will work as counter forces against that transfer. The thickness of this bar will increase the amount of counter transfer going to the other side. So what does this all mean? Well, let's get back into the car as we fly down the front stretch. As I apply the brakes, if the weight of the vehicle transfers too quickly, I will have too much load on the tires under braking. This will make them prone to locking up. Also, when you get to the moment of turn-in, you will have too much weight on the front of the vehicle and make it likely to just slide, not get enough grip out of the front wheels because there is too much weight on them. On the flip side, if I hit the brakes and my car is so resistant to transferring weight to the front, the brakes won't be allowed to do their job, so slowing down will be difficult. And then on turn-in, the wheels will not be loaded and will not turn as much as they could. It's all about balance. After turn-in, as we are making the turn, heading for the apex, and planning for the exit, at this moment the car should feel well balanced. If we allow too much weight transfer to the outside, the car will handle like a '69 Cadillac. If we don't transfer enough weight, it will feel like we have no suspension at all. Again, it comes back to balance. Crossing over the apex, we move into acceleration. The weight is now moving backwards. In order to get maximum traction, we need to let the weight of the vehicle get to the rear end as we apply the throttle. If we don't transfer enough weight backwards, then the wheels will spin and easily lose traction. Transfer the weight too fast, and the car will lose front-end grip and not want to turn out of the corner. Can I say it again? Balance. Well, I don't want to bore anyone, and if you really think about this out on the track, it will start to make sense. In future tech tips, I will cover other areas of the car, like gearing, brakes, camber, and caster. But if you think about what you just learned and apply those pieces of information, I bet you can get a jump and see how they relate to the overall picture of setting up a car. All the components do their own thing, and at the same time have their own roles. It's all about balance. There's actually a series of books by a guy named Carroll Smith. This one here is called Tune to Win. And it kind of goes through in much more detail about things that I just talked about. It's a little dated, and he has a whole series of books, but it puts you in the right mindset, the mindset that a professional race car driver would be in, or a professional crew chief. And that's the important thing when you get into setting up the car. Driving well, listening to what the car has to say, and making adjustments based on what you think the car needs. Anyway, I hope that helps. I'm Sean Cole for Inside Sim Racing. Back to Jessica in the studio.
Thanks, Sean, for all your tech tips. Explaining all that gigahertz information is very useful. Next up, we got the Mod Squad for this week. We're doing rapid fire again. We start off with a couple of new tracks for GTR2. Miller Motorsports Parts, which is one of the newest and hottest tracks in America, built in 2006. Motor Effects has created this version for us to try out. Both of these tracks can be found at nogripracing.com. GTR Evolution is so complete, but it's missing certain cars from previous titles. Not anymore. Peters 73 created the GTR2 GT4 Evo, adding the loved Ferraris, Corvettes, Vipers, Lamborghinis, Lister, Maserati, Porsches, and Salines. Evo is quickly becoming the main platform for these Simbin titles, and you can go to virtualr.net to download these. Next up, we got some open wheelers from R Factor Central to check out. Elaine Fry made the Formula 2. Also, Zachoa and the Nice Guys have released the Williams FW16. A couple of tracks came out. Bangor released the Catalina 1.0, a narrow, twisty track based in Australia. Then we have Mount Ventoux Hill Climb. This is a world-famous hill climb event out of France, and this mod comes with 2 variations to try. Go to R Factor Central to try them all out. The big mod of this week is the Bullrun, one of the most famous fantasy tracks ever. They've been working on and released the version 2.0, which Sean and Darren were driving it earlier. Here's some footage of them. And you can go to the uspits.com to download this track. Stay tuned for the Bullrun 1000, a race that is held once a year, which Sean and Darren will attempt to finish for their 6th time. We wish you guys luck. All right, so if you want your mod listed on the Mod Squad Rapid Fire, email me at jessica@insidesimracing.tv. Now on to the contest time. We got 3 different things to give away this week. If you're in our chat room, the first to answer these questions will win. Remember, if you've already won these games previously, you are not eligible to win them again. First up, we got a copy of STCC, the game. You will have to give the exact answer, and you might have to go back to our previous shows to find the answer. What is the color, and it is two-tone, of Darren's Camaro? Tell us what the color is and you'll win a copy of STCC The Game. Question number 2 for a copy of Arca Sim Racing. A few episodes back, we mentioned that Parker Klingerman finished at the New Jersey Motorsports Park during his Arca Remax Series debut. What was his position? Question number 3 to win a copy of GTR Evolution. Tell us what color I was wearing as I hosted the show on episode 27. Remember to specify whether you're answering question number 1, 2, or 3 so we can get you out your winning games. That's gonna do it, and for all you Live for Speeders, we got 2 race reports by Michael Passingham, so keep on watching to see those. I'm Jessica Lopez for Sean Cole and Darren Gadgey. The checkered flag is out, and so are we.
First up, it's the Live for Speed World Series. It's like the World Cup of Motorsport, but not. It pictures 16 nations against each other, in different cars and tracks each time. We're picking up the series to the final round, round 8, with the FO8 car at West Hill International. Coming into this round, Germany and the Netherlands were tied on points after 7 races. While Germany started in the midfield, 5th in the 7th, the Netherlands locked out the front row, 1st and 2nd on the grid. Germany would have their work cut out to beat the Netherlands and win the championship. After making it through the first corner cleanly, all hell broke loose a couple of corners later. The Great Britain car of David Williams made contact with the Finland car and they started to spin out and were collected by the other Great Britain car of Southward. A big shame for the Britain team, but that allowed Germany into 3rd and 4th, right behind the Netherlands. However, by the end of the 3rd lap, the Netherlands were over 4 seconds ahead and didn't look like they were going to be caught. Near the end of the race, Germany had a very lucky escape. Going through the chicane, a car spun in front of them and put tyres all over the road. They both managed to get through unharmed though. Try as they might, Germany could not catch the Netherlands, and by the end of the 1-hour race, the Netherlands were nearly 30 seconds ahead. Rudy van Buren winning from Baumer. They had taken the championship for their country and taken the championship from Germany, who'd been tying with them up to that point. But as you can see from the after-race celebrations, the Netherlands were extremely happy. Congratulations to them on winning the Live for Speed World Series. Next up, it's the Live for Speed Beginners Cup, which is open for anyone who's done 1,200 miles or more in LFS and those people who consider themselves as beginners. It put these drivers together in a variety of LFS machinery over many different tracks. Today we're looking at round 3 of season 2, which was held at Kyoto National Circuit with turbo cars. Most of the drivers chose the FXO because it is basically the fastest turbo car in Live for Speed, but one driver chose the XRT, which is rear-wheel drive, and one driver chose the four-wheel drive RB4. The RB4 is superb off the line, as Klenker found out as he was taken by surprise at how quick he was off the line, nearly hitting the back of the slower starting front-wheel drive car. He would go from 7th to 2nd in the space of a straight, but his tyres would soon wear out and he will be passed by most of the drivers. He would finish 7th after many mistakes. Darren Lobb, who started in pole position and was 2nd in the championship, was mighty impressive in his FXO. He had high ballast in his car, but managed to eke out a very good lead and even managed to spin and stay ahead. He would win, followed home by fellow FXO drivers Novak and Kievny. This once again shows how much better the FXO is compared to the other turbo cars. Championship leader Lat Pravotti could only manage 5th, which meant Lobb took the lead in the championship by 2 points.